Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. You are a diehard. I'm diehard for this man to my right. It's my co-host, Bo Brack. We've got award-winning producer Damon Dog behind the microphone. What a PHNX Cardinals here on a Football Monday we have for all of you. Roughly 11 days away from the 2024 NFL Draft. Fits number 11. And man, oh man, a lot to talk about.
Yeah, ton to talk about. The Cardinals were at the facility. They were banging around some weights today. We had a full crowd there, including their fearless leader, Kyler Murray. He was there. You had a bunch of the team's stars, or the ones that were carried over from the previous regime, and the ones that emerged on the new ones. We talked to Jonathan Gannon. We talked to Kazir White, who's on the mend, and Trey McBride, one of the new faces of the franchise, just amped, geeked up to be out there. I mean, you saw the picture, saw the video. Trey McBride just loves playing football. He, like everybody, John, loves ball. So do everybody out there. What's up, Tony, Andy? I see K2, Illini, McGee in the chat. Jessica, what's going on? Q Cox. We see got just HTL just already littering our entire chat right now. People are excited, as you mentioned. 11 days out. Damon Dog asks you, welcome everybody, welcome except for Johnny and Bo on the Hold the Line train.
Do you think Trey McBride is a Hold the Line guy? If you had to ask him behind the scenes.
So Trey McBride, and you can see this video on PHNX_Cardinals. He does talk about the draft and basically said, I have no idea what we're gonna do, but I trust in Monty. That's what he said. Now, when you and I talk, when I talked to Trey McBride at the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry. He said he seemed pretty confident when he was talking about potentially playing alongside Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And he gave a little bit of a breakdown. You can find that video here on PHNX Sports' YouTube. Me and Saul had the benefit of talking to Trey. But now he's just going to trust the process and what his general manager, Monti Ossenfort, is going to do for this team in a matter of days.
What's that process going to look like? We have our guesses, we have our speculations, and potentially we have our answer, or do we? Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, Monday Morning Quarterback, I guess if they still call it that, he was busy on his website answering some questions pertaining to what's happening with these quarterbacks and certainly what's happening with Marvin Harrison Jr. And I want to preface this all by saying that I think Benjamin Albright, I think Albert Breer has tremendous sources. And I think that of all the national guys, not to throw shade, outside of Schefter and Ian Rappaport, the latter has been on this program, I think in terms of this situation, it is fair to peg Albert Breer as one of the most tapped in people, and here's why. His connection with the New England Patriots, somewhere Monti Ossenfort came from. He's been on top of Monti Ossenfort figuratively since Ossenfort got this job, knows the respect he has back in Boston, and then you tie that into the relationship that Breer has with his alma mater, Ohio State. So when Albert Breer comes out and says something, with respect to the Matt Millers of the world, we're going to perk up and we're going to listen to what he has to say. So again, I want to preface all that. We can disagree or agree with what he has to say, but Albert Breer came out today, and this is the following. Let's see it, Damon Dog, on the screen. Albert Breer on the Cardinals draft plans. The more I've talked to people, the more I think Ossenfort, who was aggressive in going down and up the board in his first draft running a team, is considering staying at 4 and picking. It might be a GM playing poker and trying to smoke out better offers, but it could also be, Bo, that he really likes the player who will be there for him. That came from Monti Ossenfort. Albert Breer with respect to Monti Ossenfort. We've got more quotes, surface level reaction. I know you've seen this already. Albert Breer thinks the Cardinals are leaning towards sticking and picking, thus pivoting off a potential trade with the Minnesota Vikings.
You guys hear that?
I did. And I was just going to say that was big for the Hold the Line movement. It was big.
That's the sound of thousands of people holding the line, not just hundreds. We're building
and
an army.
They can do it from a more confident place. But I will say this, and I said this, I think, on Friday. that inactivity does not mean that they are not moving off the pick.
Hater, you're a hater.
Yeah, sorry. Monti Ossenfort will remain open with his neon sign that he described in his previous, meeting with the media, and he's going to talk again. His official pre-draft presser is Thursday, along with Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon prefaced his he started his media availability today, saying like, "I'll get this out of the way. The draft questions, you can ask me them on Thursday. Don't waste my time today. Today's about working out in the team right now." But
love JG.
Look, the inactivity, I still don't believe is all signs pointing towards Marvin Harrison Jr. being an Arizona Cardinal. Like the closer and closer we get, like you can continue to build confidence. But at the end of the day, and I think, there were some Vikings fans that were in our chat last night, saying, I think that the deal is going to happen on draft day. And it very well could. Like, you can't breathe a gigantic sigh of relief until ESPN plays their sweet little jingle and the pick is in and the Arizona Cardinals have made the selection. I just don't think you can, because it's that competitive of a market. There are teams, not just the Vikings, that are trying to get up the draft board, and the value of the 4th overall pick has never been higher. And Monti Ossenfort continues to try to drive the price up, or has an asking price that at this point hasn't been met.
I like this video, by the way. The goal here on a Football Monday, 500 likes for your boys. And I agree with Bo. I saw that today. I threw it up on Twitter. I give my opinion on it because my opinion's different. I don't think this means much of anything. And people are going to be frustrated and potentially disappointed with that. And again, I wanted to preface all this with what I said about Albert Breer. I think Albert Breer is locked in. And I think if you ask Monti Ossenfort today what he's doing, I reached out to some folks this morning, and the common theme that I got back, and this is important, there is nobody who believes that the Arizona Cardinals are going to turn down 3 1s if they're offered 3 1s. So let me repeat that. If the Cardinals get an offer of 3 first-round picks, they will take it. That's the general consensus that I continue to hear. Now, if you want to be of the mindset that the Cardinals are not going to get 3 1s, then yeah, they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 4. But I think we've gotten to the point cut and dry, and you could put the Chargers in this category as well. The more I hear from people with regard to that team, Jim Harbaugh is not going to do the Minnesota Vikings any favors. That's the team that spurned him last year when he dipped his toe in, and they hired Kevin O'Connell that 2 years ago or whatever that was. He's not helping them. I believe that the Cardinals are going to say yes to a 3 first-round pick offer. Now, maybe that hasn't happened yet. And so Ossenfort's like, shit, we're going to have the 4th overall pick. We're going to pick a player. I mean, it's very poetic and timely. You interviewed Armando Segura of Outkick the Coverage, and we posted on our website here on YouTube. We posted on our feed. And I clipped it, and we put it on Twitter. And like literally to the nose, what did Armando said? He said that you're going to hear this week that the Cardinals love their pick, either directly from them or through the media. They love the 4th overall pick because they started by saying, we're open for business. They got all the phone calls. They were at the owners' meetings. And then this week, it's the opposite. Yeah, we're fine sticking and picking. Chargers are going to probably say the same thing because that instills a sense of urgency with the Vikings and their people that you're going to gift wrap JJ McCarthy to the Giants 6 overall. So like, maybe I'm being naive. Had I not just heard that from Armando, I'd probably feel differently this morning. But almost to a T, 24 to 40 hours later, Cardinals love their pick. They're going to stick and pick Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, I want to believe that's true. Again, it would be what I would do. I think they're going to end up trading the pick. That's what I believe is going to happen.
And this isn't what we would do, right? Absolutely. This is what the organization, and like we see it, and I see a couple people in the chat saying the Vikings aren't going to give 3 first-round picks. Well, if they don't, there's no deal to be had.
No, and then you get to take Marvin Harrison Jr. and then we're all celebrating. Assuming nobody else.
I'm celebrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm celebrating.
You don't think this podcast wants Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Allow that? I don't know. It'll have to be me and the people.
You guys aren't the gatekeeper to.
Well, we will be
celebrating.
And let's just make a quick note here.
Okay.
Good for this podcast is community, winning, Also, Marvin Harrison Jr. is good for this podcast. We know that.
No doubt about it.
You think we want this team to pass on Marvin Harrison Jr.? I'm just being as authentic as we can be. This isn't like cookie cutter shill time with the boys. This is, I believe, based on what we have heard, that they're going to end up trading this pick. That is not what I want, or Bo, or certainly Damon Dog, president, hold the line. But we have to present the facts as they are. Sorry, Bo, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. Look, I mean, we want to sit here and have so many different conversations at once. But here's how it breaks down. The Arizona Cardinals are not going to trade the pick unless the asking price is met. And when you look at what has happened in recent history, and Vikings fans can push back and say, look at the trade chart. The trade chart says this is what it's worth. It's like things have changed. We've seen the 49ers come up to get Trey Lance at 3rd overall from the 12th overall selection. And they gave 3 firsts. And then you're going to say, well, it's going to cost because they've got 2 firsts in the same draft and it's different. And then you look at the draft last year, Monti Ossenfort, where he traded down from 3 to 12 with the Houston Texans and what it cost. And he got 2 firsts and the pick just outside the first round. Without the 5th year option, it's basically a first round pick.
Yeah.
So there's recent history. There's a precedent of recent deals that have gone down that have happened that beat the trade chart a long time ago. And general managers are always trying to beat the trade chart. That's their job.
Yeah.
In order to make it worth.
Tell their owner, look, we got a deal. Check it out.
We're passing on who's being deemed a generational talent because we blew the trade chart out of the water because we're giving ourselves unbelievable amount of resources to expedite this rebuild and put us right back in the thick of the NFC West, the NFC playoff picture, and more. And that's the only reason I would see Monti Ossenfort coming off of that. So it's just like, okay, the Vikings, they're balking at the idea of 3 firsts. Okay, then the deal's not going to get done. It's not just Monti Ossenfort isn't to the point where he's like, hey, it's not Facebook Marketplace, 4th overall pick, OBO or best offer. It's not happening. This is what you have to pay. If not, hey, we're taking a really fucking good player, Marvin Harrison Jr. We're moving forward.
Also, I hate this comparison because he wasn't making the decisions, but Ossenfort grew up as an NFL executive scout with the Patriots who don't prioritize wide receivers. And they went to Tennessee and they traded A.J. Brown. Now, that was a huge mistake. And then they doubled down on Treylon Burks the next year. But, this fits their brand. The brand is draft and develop and get a bunch of picks in the top 50, get a bunch of first rounders, build line of scrimmage play. But there is more from Albert Breer. Let's get to some more of these quotes because I think it's important to know what the Cardinals feel about MHJ. What's unique, according to Breer, about Arizona's position is that despite picking 4th, the Cardinals will almost certainly have an opportunity to pick the best non-quarterback in this draft. What a few people have said to me over the past few months to that end is that Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr. would be a wheelhouse pick for Ossenfort the same way Harrison's ex-teammate, Paris Johnson Jr. was back in 2023. Now, we've told you for some time, Harrison's their number 1 player on their board. That's not breaking news. Let's get to the final comments here from Breer. What does that mean? Well, being from the New England system, Ossenfort really does value guys who fit the suit, fill physical prototypes. That's why they like him over Neighbors. He's 4 inches taller. Harrison, who Ohio State coaches would tell you has been clocked around 4.35 in the 40-yard dash. Good hell, it's 6'3", 209 pounds. Almost certainly fits that bill. He's also considered a very high character player, particularly from a work ethic standpoint, which checks another important box for Ossenfort. And again, none of that is breaking news. All of that is important. All of that makes him the 4th overall pick if they stick and pick here, which is why, knowing all of that, Bo, you have all of the information. Can't miss prospect. They won't and they shouldn't budge on their asking price because you have that waiting for you at the altar. You can hedge your bet and go up to the final seconds with the Vikings. And if the Vikings say, you know what, we're going to give you 2 1s and a 2, you can just tell them to screw off and you go take your general wide receiver.
Yeah, like, hey, here's the Chargers number. Good luck with your future endeavors, and this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And you look at it, and there's a couple different things that are important there. As far as the Marvin Harrison Jr., right? As for how he fits into the philosophy of team building and how he becomes kind of the exception to the rule as far as the positions that they're willing to go high on, and why he's the exception as far as the wide receiver, right? Where it wasn't going to necessarily be Marvin or Malik Neighbors, or Roman Dunze. It's like, no, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the exception to the rule that Monti Ossenfort has in place as far as how he wants to build his team, and he was willing to budge on it because what he brings to the table as far as his size, as far as his work ethic that, I've heard from Paris Johnson Jr. is unmatched in the Ohio State program, which is saying something, an NFL factory in Ohio State. And then you've got, okay, there's that. And then there's also, if Monti Ossenfort is blown away by a deal, if Monti Ossenfort is given the Godfather deal where it's an offer he can't refuse, where it's just like, okay, the 4th overall pick could fetch an unprecedented amount of first or future draft capital. So it's like your exception only gets beat by another exception you have to make to trade down the draft board.
Let's just play investigative detectives here with draft season and start adding up the pieces. Cause I see some Viking fans in the chat, like Viking Jerome, saying the Vikings fans don't really want to trade with the Cardinals. I respect that. I wouldn't want to give up 3 1s for JJ McCarthy either, but let's not talk about what we want. Let's talk about the reality of the situation. The folks in Vegas their job is to be as objective as possible, cut and dry facts. I see everybody and their mom who's a Vikings fan saying, we have Michael Penix. We're going to take Michael Penix and we're going to get another position player. It's going to work out. Vegas is telling you Michael Penix, 32.5 positioning to be drafted in the first round. He and Bo Nix were not invited by the NFL to be in the green room. Will Levis was last year. We saw how that worked out. The NFL is telling you Bo Nix and Michael Penix, and don't kid yourself. They're talking to scouts. They're talking to executives. They have access to big boards. Will Levis, a.k.a. Bo Nix, Michael Penix 2.0, are not going to be drafted in the first round. So who does that leave? Well, we know quarterbacks are going 1, 2, 3. So there's one quarterback for about 5 QB needy teams. So if you add that up at the end of the day, the fact that there is a one singular entity means if you're the Minnesota Vikings, maybe the Denver Broncos, we're going to talk to Benjamin Albright later this week, you're going to give up the assets. You are going to cave. You do not have, in my opinion, any leverage against the Arizona Cardinals. You have shown your hand. You have picked 23. It's just floating out there. You went and actively got that. You're not taking Michael Penix or Bo Nix with pick 23. You are packaging 11, 23, and something else, which is a 2025 first, to come up to pick 4. That's it. At the end of the day, anybody else that argues that they're going to take another quarterback or they're going to go position players and build around Sam Darnold, that is lunacy. The Vikings made that trade up to 23 to package those picks together. Now, maybe you could argue, Bo, the reality in which they wanted to take 11 and 23 and some scraps and come up to number 4. And what did the Arizona Cardinals say? How about this? This came from, I don't know if we have it ready. There's people who live in delusional fantasy land, and then there are people that work in the NFL that are going to eloquently break this down as it relates to what this costs. When we have that, Damon Dog, let me know. I think it was from, here it is, Field Yates. Field Yates took to Twitter today, basically saying, I see this sentiment from Viking fans. Lovey's going after Vikings fan. No dog in the race here. No dog in regards to the cost of the trade up from 11 to 4 or 5. Emphasis on 5 there, because it costs the same whether it's the Cardinals or the Chargers. While 11 and 23 for 4 or 5 does align with the draft value charts. We've talked about that. Those charts don't account for competing offers that drive up the price for the QB premium. I think the cost of the trade would be 11, 23, and more valuable chips. So somebody asked him, what's the more valuable chip? To which Field Yates says, I would imagine that Arizona or LA, the Chargers, would ask for 11, 23, and a 2025 first. Yes, it will cost a total of 3 1s.
I mean, that's what's we've been talking about for a month.
It's good. Everybody else join us in reality here.
Right. And Salguero understood it from Outkick, and Benjamin Albright understands it. and you understand that the supply and the demand of it. Like the first 3 picks of the NFL draft are going to be quarterbacks.
And there's one first-round quarterback left.
There's one worthy of that. And if you want to say, oh, well, you don't have leverage because we can always turn to Penix or Bo Nix, but those are the quarterbacks where you heard your own general manager say there's a different tier of quarterback that you need to create more infrastructure for. And those are them. Like you have to, and sure, you can do that by utilizing other picks, but at the same time, you're taking on and potentially utilizing a first rounder on guys who are in college for how long? 4 or 5 years? 4 or 5 years that are going to be 20, 23, 24 years old. By the end of their 5-year contract, they're going to be close to 30 years old. Where you've got guys like JJ McCarthy, who's 20 years old, and he's got the skill set and the projectables of a first round pick. So I just, you can sit there and argue till you're blue in the face, but that's the reality of the decision makers in the NFL, and the people that cover this game closely have accepted that that's what the price is going to be. That's what the asking price is going to be. And I don't think that the Cardinals budge on that. And if they don't, then good on Monti Ossenfort for digging in, and then also realizing what he has, and then also what he can get in return. If he, and I talked about this with Armando, and he disagreed to an extent, but and you pointed this out when you looked at the Cardinals when they posted on their social media their current draft picks, and then underneath that was the entire hold the line crew, basically, of people saying, I'm done if you don't draft Marv. Like if he doesn't make the deal, there isn't going to be massive disappointment. And I think there might have been last year, but this year, it's like you could. It's easier to sell Marvin Harrison.
It's a layup, and you can make the pick tomorrow.
Right.
It's over, but it's not over, and we know why it's not over, because the Minnesota Vikings are in a point of desperation. Like that's we try to outline this, and we're not here to take a victory lap today, because I think a lot of people thought we have a coronation with.
It's an emotional roller coaster today. You've got Albert Breer, one of the respected insiders in the NFL, saying, I think it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. And I don't believe that until the jingle comes on from ESPN and it happens. I just don't. Like, I'm never going to be comfortable unless there is a deal that's made inexplicably by Minnesota to get to 5. And they wouldn't do that.
But those tweets showed you that, like, why are you trading 3-1's 5th overall? Why wouldn't you just do it 4th overall?
Right.
Because you buy yourself insurance that the Giants or the Broncos or the Raiders aren't coming up to get your quarterback. It's like my argument since day one. The Chargers are not involved with this. The Chargers are like one of the last phone calls you make. Quessie's speed dial is to Monti Ossenfort. And Monti Ossenfort, my guess is, with this report and with Quessie talking about, we're going to keep pick 23, we're a little bit of a standstill. But you know what? Actions, deadlines spur actions. I forget who says that. Like, the deadline is next Thursday. And guess what? Quessie's got to go to his owner and his team and Justin Jefferson and make sure that everybody feels confident and comfortable with the quarterback situation. And you got to look with your egg on your face, basically saying, well, we traded up. We have 2 first-rounders now. Again, this is not something we're rooting for. We have to be able to go get our guy. Their guy is JJ McCarthy. They want JJ McCarthy. They have 2 extra firsts. They have to give up a first next year. I think they will. Like, again, my thought process has been consistent. How do the Vikings not do this trade? How do they allow it to not be them? They don't. It will be them. The Vikings are going to go to Ossenfort and cave and say, here are 3 first-round picks and something else. And maybe the Cardinals kick a day 3 pick like you've outlined, Bo. And Ossenfort's going to go to Michael Bidwell, and he's going to go to Jonathan Gannon and Dave Sears and just say, I know we want Harrison Jr. We're going to come up for a Roma Dunze, but we have 3 first-rounders now that have been gifted to us. I think I believe that's what's going to happen.
You don't even have to say Roma Dunze. It's like we have the ability to navigate this draft and future drafts.
Yep.
It's just, and that's tough. That's tough to swallow, in especially on a day where you see Breer and like that's a very reliable source. But I just don't. I disagree that inactivity, as far as this trade goes, I think that people, when the deal went down, especially with just how the draft board is set up right now, it doesn't pay make the deal before the day of the draft, or
yeah, I got that wrong. I thought maybe they'd want assurance to do the deal now, so making sure that they are in line for their quarterback, and then the Cardinals can have time to ensure that they come up for a receiver. Like I missed on that conceivably if they don't make a trade in the next 11 days, but I want to believe Breer. Like, I believe that's what Breer is hearing. But, like, again, the Cardinals' infrastructure is not one of Steve Keim.
No.
Like, Peter Schrager is going to put his mock out tomorrow. Peter Schrager was incorrect with the pick last year for the first time in forever. Well, why is that? Because no one has a
there weren't any loose lips around the organization,
That's right?
You know, and I think I trust Breer more from a standpoint of outside the Cardinals organization, hearing what he's, getting from, the streets outside of Tempe, Arizona, where the Cardinals facility is. I don't know if I don't think he necessarily has too much coming from, inside the walls of the Cardinals organization, but there's a past working relationship there. And then there's people that know how Monti operates. But it almost also just further proves what he's sitting on and his ability to, in the leverage that he owns, like that he's fully content with somebody like taking Marvin Harrison Jr. 4th overall.
A lot of emotions in the chat right now.
I told you it was going to be emotional,
as expected. And again, your boys are here. We want to be able to walk you through this, talk you through this. But again, like, just put the facts out. Put the facts out for a second. There are 4 first-round quarterbacks in this draft. Not 5, not 6. There are 4. There's a team that needs a quarterback that has 2 ones, that actively went up to get a 1. And then there's a team picking 4th that doesn't need a quarterback when there are 3 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. It's a supply and demand thing. Look to Vegas. They're telling you right now. We're just trying to prepare everybody. And again, if they draft Marvin, we'll do a celebratory dance at Gila River. I'm happy to say I was incorrect, but like, I want to be wrong. But again, like, give me tangible proof that they're going to go with Harrison over 3
What would make you incorrect? What would make you incorrect if
it came out that Ossenfort turned down 3 1s from the Vikings?
Yeah, if that you would
have. Do you believe that's likely? By the way,
that he would turn it down?
Yeah.
No,
I don't either. Somebody let us know in the chat, super chat, whatever. Do you believe Monti Ossenfort is going to say no to 3 first-round picks? I haven't seen anybody put, like, even our guy Brian Baldinger is like, you have to take that.
Right. He said he'd take the bounty.
I know Cardinal fans would reject it, and you and I would. But football people who work in the league, cover the league, there's no way the Cardinals aren't taking that package. There's no way. Even after they got spurned by the Houston Texans, that should show you they're more confident than ever with their team building approach.
Let me put it in this perspective. If you take the deal, you have 5 first-round picks in the next 2 drafts.
And pick 35 this year. So 6 picks in the top 35 the next 2 years.
You have 11, 23, 27. You have your own first. You have the Vikings first. And you have that.
Yeah, 35 this year. Yeah. Hopefully not a high second next year.
That's a lot of ammo that could do a ton of damage as far as a rebuild goes.
Jalen Blair, I'm not sure they're going to get 3 first-round picks unless it's Drake May. Then maybe they do it.
Yeah, and that's a big time part of this. Is like, is there a quarterback that the Vikings are willing to spend that on? And if it doesn't end with Drake May, and JJ McCarthy is somebody that they would try to get a discount on.
Jalen, let me ask you this: what are the Vikings doing if they're not trading up for a quarterback, though? Like, what's their thought process? Again, like, I think we all assume Drake May is going to go to the Patriots. If the Vikings are naive enough to acquire an additional first without knowing the potential reality that the Patriots are going to take Drake May, they're not very smart. Like, Kwesi, you're not equipped to have that job. Unless you're comfortable trading up for either QB, which I think they are, you don't deserve to be the general manager of that franchise. If your only thought process, we're going to get an extra first this year, everybody hear me out, and we're going to go try to convince the team that's picking 3rd overall, who has jack shit at the position, who lives on the East Coast, that they can't have the kid that plays on the East Coast that was the co-number 1 pick with Caleb Williams coming into this college football season. That's our plan. We're going to rid ourselves. We don't have any seconds this year or seconds next year. We're just going to have 2 firsts this year, and that's going to be enough to convince the Patriots. That was your plan. You're basically conceding that to everybody, which, again, I don't believe that's what's happening. I think they're comfortable with either quarterback. But just talk it out.
Yeah, let's get to the super
come on,
chat.
guys.
Yeah, let's get to the super chats. It's great. The chat is feisty today too, but everybody continues to crush it as well. $2 super chat. Redbirds 224. The NFL draft is Larry Fitzgerald days away. HTMFL. Love it. Yep. Number 11, the great Larry Fitz. Got him from Minnesota too.
Poetic. This is a very poetic. The NFL does this to you.
Born and raised in Minnesota before going on to the University of Pittsburgh. And then Cardinals took him, and he spent every glorious year of his NFL career right here in the desert. How about our guy, Gabe?
Hey, Gabe.
$199. You guys still don't want
Gabe,
Marv.
I'll take over on this one. No, they do not want Marv.
That's not true.
Damon.
That's an
cut Damon's mic right
Gabe.
now. Can we get head producer Jacob in here? Cut this man's mic.
Jacob just went home, brother. It's my ship now.
Renegade.
No, Gabe,
guys.
they hate Marvin Harrison Jr. with a
that
passion.
is so untrue. That is untrue.
All we did was slobber all over the man for 9 months during the NFL season, which this team won 4 games. We did a draft tracker to basically beg and plead this team to get him. And then JJ McCarthy and the Vikings entered our lives, and we're just trying to be realistic here, and people hate us for it. Like, I'm sorry.
Notice
they're not gonna turn down 3 1s.
Past tense, you were slobbering all over him. Not me. I'm still right here, drooling out of the mouth. Marvin Harrison.
I don't even know what that means, Damon. I don't even know what that means. Jalen Blair, $2. Am I wrong, or has MHJ only met with us and the Bears? I don't know. I haven't kept track. Did he meet with the Patriots? That's how not tapped in I am with what Marvin's doing, because ever since he punted on draft season, it really just feels like, did he meet with the Chargers?
I know he met with was it 9 teams at the combine, right? But as far as top 30s go, maybe he's only done Chicago and Arizona. But Damon, do you know the answer to that? You're hold the line, the guy. You should know everything.
What was the question again?
This guy's saying.
I was monitoring the chat. It's kind of going out of control.
Good. Everybody drop a like. We got over 500 people in here. Let's get to 500 likes ASAP on this show. Use $5. If we don't get MHJ, Damon Dog will commit. What is that? What is that word?
Yeah, it's like Japanese honor suicide.
Katana to the stomach.
Wow, this is aggressive. Today is off the chains. With JV as his second, Alt at 4, hold HDN, Toon Squad. JV should have eaten his last 4-round steak. Go Bo. Listen, did everything go awry after I didn't finish my steak at the combine? You could say yes. A week or two later, this happened. So maybe it's my fault.
Justin, $4.99 super chat with a trade, pick 11, Fashanu, pick 23. Mitchell from Texas, the wide receiver, in 27th, the best defensive player. Olu Fashanu, Penn State tackle.
Yeah, I'd take it, I guess, if that's what it had to be.
I think you could get that pretty easily. I think
don't like for your brand. Don't agree to these trades right now.
I mean, no,
your days.
Can I say something? Can I say something? So when I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they were emphasizing the point of 3 first-round picks, there was a big caveat, and they said this, and you say this all the time. They know they need a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They know they need a big-time starting receiver. And I think, again, if you're confident in Ossenfort based on last year, I mean, it's a lot to ask again. Like, I do think if they pass on Marvin and they get the Vikings package, they're going to try to come up for Rome Odunze.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can they execute that? That's a big if, because this top 10 is blue chip ridden. These teams are unpredictable. They all have the same needs as the Cardinals. Everybody needs a tackle and a wide receiver and a pass rusher. So who's going to want to come down? So you got to be ready, if you're Ossenfort, to maybe part ways with a pick 35 or multiple thirds or whatever. But I do think wholeheartedly, and I feel more confident about this than anything, if they try to move down and they get the Vikings package, they will Rome Odunze becomes the immediate target. I think Rome Odunze potentially could be their wide receiver number 2. You saw what Breer put in his comments about how Ossenfort, it is about physical attributes. And I love Malik Neighbors, but he's just over 6 foot. Rome Odunze is the same size height-wise as Marvin Harrison Jr. And they scouted him a lot. They're here on the West Coast. So I think that is the play if they trade down. Can they do it, Bo? That's a big question.
Yeah, it becomes a lot tougher. You're obviously in a way better spot when you're feels like you're holding all the cards at 4th overall, but it completely changes once you get out of that spot and you're sitting at 11. You're going to have a more than willing participant that's willing to trade back and has their eyes on somebody maybe down the draft board. How about let's hear from the guy himself? Or is it, I don't know. Is it Marvin Harrison Jr. dropping $1.99 super chat? Sometimes I feel like you don't want me, Johnny.
Marvin, that NIL deal has the super chat seeming a little light, don't you think? Help out your boys here. But in all seriousness, I've never wanted a player more. I've never wanted a prospect more.
That's why it hurts the most. That's why it hurts.
Yeah.
Have these conversations and also have people just blindly throw accusations at us like our award-winning producer Damon.
I wanted to say real quick that if they ended up with Adonai Mitchell as like their top receiving option out of this draft, I'd be sick to my stomach walking out of Taylor Rivers.
I would too. Agreed.
I think he honestly has like 100-yard receiving game in his college career.
Well, Bo, you brought up a good point. As much as I even like Brian Thomas Jr., like, is Brian Thomas Jr. ever going to be a top 10 receiver? Like, those are the questions you have to ask. Like, Rome and Malik and Marvin, you could make an argument, are at some point all going to be top, hopefully, if they hit top 10 receivers. Everybody else, I don't want to say role player, but there's just so many unknowns. Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey, and these guys, Xavier Worthy, it's just nothing's a sure thing. Even Brian Thomas Jr. Like, you got to leave. Where's the draft? Detroit? You got to leave Detroit with one of the big 3. I will crush this team if they don't.
There's only 3 guys right now in this draft that unseat Trey McBride as your top playmaker. Otherwise,
no, I would argue that come into camp as equal or better of Michael Wilson.
Right. Well, but I think that the offense would continue. Like, Trey McBride would be the vocal point in the passing attack.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not the worst thing. It's just, your collection of pieces, and, there's going to be guys that play roles and make big time plays, but are they going to be an 8 to 10 target guy? No, I don't think so. Easy, no steroids, $2 super chat, 3 picks or a legacy pick for Monty. Easy. #MHJ.
I agree.
It is a legacy pick.
I think it is easy, but I don't think they think like that. Easy, no steroids, but it's going to be a whirlwind. We're going to get to more of these super chats. We got to do some reads from our partners, our fave partners, including our friends at BetMGM. First bet offer. Right now, I can tell you the draft props on BetMGM are outrageous. They're fantastic. And listen, like, we were checking it out. What was it yesterday? Like, I think you still get JJ McCarthy if you want to do an emotional hedge here at plus 300 to go 4th overall. Like, might not be a bad idea. You win if he makes it to 4th, and you win if Marvin's a Cardinal at 4th. And they're going to hook you up right now during MLB season Grand Slam Jackpot, a weekly bet and get in promotion. Place $10 or more on any player to hit a home run every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If the player hits a Grand Slam on that day, you win the $50,000 daily prize or share the prize with every winning bettor. For example, if a customer bets on Aaron Judge to hit a home run on July 31st against Houston, if Judge hits a Grand Slam with 9 other customers, you guys cut that check. And everybody takes home about $5,000 in cash. Again, here's how you get started. You download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS, Android, or check them out at BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 in your newly created BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager. You're going to receive up to $1,500 back in your bonus bet if you lose. So again, draft season's here. Perfect time to dabble on some of those props. I'm going to tell you right now, my BetMGM parlay of the week, I'll parlay JJ McCarthy at plus 300. And then you know what you can do. You can hedge a little bit. Jaden Daniels going 2nd overall. A little quarterback action there. A lot of fun. All the fun can be had with our friends at BetMGM. Check out the show notes for full details. Now listen to my guy, Shane Diefenbach, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY, 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Gonna have to make up some money. I bet the field in the WNBA draft over Caitlin Clark, and
It was one of the worst bets of your life.
I'm kidding. I didn't. Could you even bet on the top pick in the draft?
I don't know. You could still bet on Caleb Williams.
Okay, but
I
it's like
would-
minus 10,000.
Can you imagine, like, if I was like, yeah, it's minus 10,000, but if I had $1 million laying around, like, I'm putting that on.
I don't
Caleb.
even know if they're allowing that though.
They
I read
are.
somewhere they aren't even allowing that.
I saw it today.
What?
Yes, dude.
Somebody bet $1 million?
No, I'm saying that it's available. I don't know if I don't know if they might not take that much
Yeah.
action. You're right.
One of the surest bets you can make is Gila River Resorts and Casinos. They show you what the next level is all about. No one does it better. Achieve legendary status at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We're going to be hanging out at the Wild Horse Pass Gila River Resort and Casino for our draft party a week from this Thursday. Cannot wait to see all of you out there who purchased tickets. It's going to be electric. It's going to be unbelievable. It's an authentic and immersive experience. If you haven't experienced it already, unprecedented level of entertainment, excitement. You're not going to find anywhere else. You're going to see that they've got dining options from top level steakhouse to just get something quick to eat and get back to the tables, get back to the sports book, grab a drink. All new selection all across the board. You can sit poolside. No better time of year than to do it right now. Head to the Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Let them show you what the next level is all about. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playGila.com for more details. Johnny, we're going over there tomorrow. We get the lay of the land. We were out there every football Sunday for the home games.
Yeah.
But we're going to be out there, get the lay of the land for our draft party. Cannot wait. Just get a glimpse of the site of where we're going to see the next chapter of this Arizona Cardinals rebuild happen.
You can peg Bo and I with rotten fruit and vegetables if we're wrong about what's happening.
I'll
But
bring the supplies.
yeah, if in all seriousness, this might help our case here. Adam Schefter, I must have missed this before the show. JJ McCarthy's final pre-draft visit will come Tuesday and Wednesday. He's set to meet with the Commanders. McCarthy will then visit the Commanders, Patriots, and Giants while also conducting private workouts for the Vikings, Broncos, and Giants. Vikings, Broncos, and Giants. Those seem like teams that need a quarterback that have been linked to JJ McCarthy for the better part. Yeah, who are those teams? I'm not familiar with them.
How about Jess hitting us with a $10 super chat? Thank you so much, Jess. One of our diehards.
Love
Fantastic. Jess. Hold the damn line. That is all. LOL.
It's going
Just to go.
Listen, what happens to hold the line as a hashtag in 11 days if the Cardinals do, in fact, not hold the line? What happens to hold the line? Hold the L? Is that what it is?
And what happens if they do hold the line? Are you going to hold the L?
Wow.
That's the problem.
No, because I get
That's
a generational
both ways.
wide receiver. Like here's the problem. This is like I want to be wrong on this. I'll hold the L. I've held bigger L's in my life. Absolutely. Like I thought they were going to pass on Kyler Murray. They were going to take Nick Bosa. I was wrong about that. But like I'm trying to be civil right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to take 2 L's where the captain, the president hold the line, then turns around and Quinyon Mitchell's a Cardinal, pick 11. That's going to be tough for your boy, Damon Dog.
You would have to carry me out of Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Put me in the back of Bo's truck, drive me to the nearest
Me and Brett
hospital.
Golden are going to have to carry the broadcast that night. It's just going to be, we got 2 guys who are comatose. Just the
Do you
entire.
think Britton's going to be just as sick as the rest of us?
But,
He's a receiver.
I know.
He's going to be so disgusted. You have no idea.
Brian, our guy in the chat
is you guys.
What's that?
He's just not as pot committed as you guys.
Yeah. Damon and I might fight at the draft. $5 super chat. Vikings with the chart trade, and Monty saying, no, this is a robbery. Yeah, like they get out, they're nerds. They get out their, this is the Vikings. Hang on a second. Here are the Minnesota Vikings. They put their glasses on. They take out their trade chart, and they're doing this to Monti Ossenfort, and they're looking down, and they're saying, well, actually, we get pick 11, you get pick 11, and you have to kick us back a third, and then Monti Ossenfort just does this shit. And he says, you know what? Call me when you're serious. Call me when you're serious, friends. That's what's going to happen. And then you know what? Quessy and company are going to say, you know what? We have to go deliver for our owner. We already made our bed. Give up the picks. Do what's necessary.
According to my chart, it would just cost this much. And Monti Ossenfort is going to say, the fuck it is. Libertarian Sasquatch jumping in $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I don't understand why you guys care so much what the Vikings do. If they don't want to give up 3 firsts, F them. Who cares if they mess it up? I don't.
Why are we connecting the Vikings to the Cardinals, Bo?
Because they want to come up to get a quarterback. Because
why do we think that?
Because they acquired another first-round pick, right?
They have 2 first-round picks. Why would they do that?
On their roster as QB1. It just because
we're not forcing some narrative here, guys.
Right?
Come on. They have Sam Darnold on a 1-year, $10 million contract. They actively came up to acquire another first-round pick. That's why we talk about the Vikings every day, because they have 2 firsts. They want JJ McCarthy. They're holding a private workout with him days before the draft. The price is 3 first rounders.
Smoke screen, Johnny.
Ooh, Bo Nix at 23.
Tom Bauer, $1.99 super chat. Take your laps, boys. Most real cards show around. Thank you, Tom.
I don't want to fight within our own. I love you all.
Yeah.
This is not this is way more. We were supposed to be courted in April.
I want to fight right now.
That's right. Damn,
it's unbelievable. Is like I still feel like we're less toxic than a lot of the fan bases around here.
It's gonna be funny when Johnny has to fight me, even though we pick Marvin Harrison Jr. That's gonna be insane.
Shut your mouth right now. That's get in front of Damon.
It's like dampering a great moment for what should be for this podcast that we get to cover Marvin Harrison Jr.
You got something to say? You got something to say on the broadcast? Libertarian Sasquatch is back, $1.99. Who cares about what the Vikings do or don't do? We do, because they're going to dictate maybe what the Cardinals are going to draft. The Vikings literally are trying to make a trade with the Cardinals to get the 4th overall pick. They're talking to the Cardinals right now. They've made consistent attempts to try to acquire this pick. They're trying to outline how much it would cost to come up. And they got serious enough to add another first-round pick, knowing that their scouts spent all year watching Bo Nix and Michael Penix, and they came away saying, McCarthy's our guy, or Drake May. That's what they're doing.
One of these 3 guys is our guy, or one of these 4 guys. The other guys, we gotta do some team building for those guys.
They came out and said that. Their GM said that. We gotta prop them up.
Yeah. There's some guys that can be good enough to play quarterback in this league and do what's asked of them. And then there's some guys, you got to give them some help. Yeah.
What's like in all seriousness? Like, what did Albert Breer say about Robert Kraft? He said they don't expect it. Now, this is ridiculous because I think the Patriots are going to suck. But he said they don't expect to be in this position for a while. And this is a QB-rich draft. So, of course, they're sticking and picking. If you're the Vikings,
I guess you have Patriots, you're going to be in this
good luck to
position
you.
for a bit.
Yeah, get some reality, friends. If you're the Vikings and you won 7 games this year because your roster it's a good playoff level roster, and you got Sam Darnold and you got pick 11, and you're coming up and adding a first, you ain't putting on getting a QB this year. When you tried to trade up for Anthony Richardson, you ain't balking this year. You're coming up because that's what it takes. You're not going to sit here and talk yourself into Shedeur Sanders next year. And I like Shedeur, but like that, he might go first overall. You are barely dipping your toe in. You got to jump in, friends. And they will.
Dion already said, I don't think the Vikings are on the list of 6 teams.
Is that what you're going to deal with next year, Vikings?
I didn't see that.
He's got a list apparently of 6 teams that he's willing to let Travis Hunter and Shedeur go to.
Oh,
you'll get QB this year.
They're a package deal?
It's Cowboys, it's Falcons, it's Commanders, 49ers. Who else is on that list?
It's Cardinals. Are the Cardinals on that list?
I guess.
Do they want to be both be first round picks or what? You know that each team only gets one of those.
Yeah. I think the Ravens were on that team.
It's like if you're thinking about breaking up with your girlfriend, then you go on the dating app and you're like, shit. You're like, I got maybe rethink this. Let's go to therapy. That's what this is like. Cardinals, let's go to therapy. We can work this out. Yeah.
Who's telling us with $2 that we hate nice things? Thank you so much, Loso. No, we're just gluttons for punishment. We are. It's just this is gonna be a tough 11 days. We're gonna be sweating it out.
I love you all.
You're gonna feel alive. Feel alive. I'll tell you that. You're gonna feel emotions.
I'm barely
that
alive
you
right
didn't know
now.
were there.
Yeah. Rondo MZ, $5. What effect do you think the Falcons' tampering penalties will have on this year's draft? If anything, Rondo, maybe their second round pick or something, but nothing. The NFL knows where their bread is buttered. Like, they're not going to mess with the 8th overall pick. There's just too much on the line with that, especially in this draft.
10 days away from the draft. I think if it was going to be something that severe, we probably would have heard about it by now. I mean, you're just talking about 2 different types of prospects between 8 and 11. Our old friend Brock is back. $4.99, saying, "I went to some burros earlier. I better read this carefully. For some chicken taquitos and premium guac, came out with a margarita laced with plumber shrooms, pre-gaming from Marv." There you go.
Stay safe, Brock.
Good old Brock. People were asking about Blow last night on the Sunday night show.
He's emerged. He's back. Topic 64, 1999 super chat. So generous. We love you, Topic 64, for ultimate friend of the program. Last night's podcast was called Minnesota Balks. It proposed AZ Cards draft trade demand of 3 first-round picks. So if they don't want to do it and no one has the assets to do it, should we be celebrating?
Amen.
So the Vikings have the assets. I think the Vikings and the Cardinals are at a standstill right now, which is why Cardinals maybe not leaking it that we're good with pick 4. And then the Vikings balk with Jeremy Fowler. We like 23. We're not giving it up.
Right.
So it's like, this is like negotiating 101. Why are these things coming out 36 hours between each other? Because those teams want you to know, well, we don't want to give up our leverage. The difference is the Vikings have no leverage. The Cardinals do. They can take a generational prospect at 4. The Vikings can sit there on their hands and not give up their picks and end up with Sam Darnold and 2 firsts that don't do them any good. The Vikings have no leverage. They have none. They have to trade up.
Monty's spending Marvin Harrison Jr., 6'4" playmaker, 28 touchdowns over the last season. Vikings would be spending potentially 1 or 2 guys that wasn't even invited to the draft green room.
You saw that today? And it's like, if you're Kevin O'Connell, quarterback guru, and he's like, okay, guys, this is our plan. And then he's like, we can't let this get out. That
you know who else didn't get invited to the draft green room? Tom Brady. Next question.
I did see somebody. No, you don't joke. I saw somebody in the comments of one of our shows saying, we just need to find our own Brock Purdy. That's what they said. Okay.
Pretty easy to do. To do. Adam C 199. The hold the line. Just hold the MF in line. That is all. There you go, Adam. Sorry for butchering that. You deserve more for your 199 super chat.
Almost feels intentional that you
I
that,
didn't.
Like a little bit. Like part of me is like, did he do that on purpose?
I did
because
not.
He's trying to bring the hold the line movement down.
No,
Damon's doing this behind the camera.
I was at the Zoolander school for kids who can't read good. That was me. That's my problem.
You'll be all right. $10 super chat. What will it be like watching Marvin Harrison Jr. doing damage against us, knowing we could have had him? Tough, brutal. It'll be disappointing. If you get other players and they do well, it'll soften the blow. But when does that ever happen for this team? You're going against history here.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. It can't be a drawn out delayed gratification for the Cardinals. Like, it has to have immediate returns on investment as far as trading out of market. And that's going to be running parallel with Marvin Harrison Jr. making big time plays wherever he lands.
Yep.
You know, that lucky SOB of an organization that just lucked into Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5 or 6 or wherever it may be. And the Cardinals having to cash in on a monumental draft haul. Like, it just had, like, they have to have guys that when I go to rookie mini camp and I'm covering it, you know, in the next couple weeks, guys that are meeting like, holy shit, they got.
It's got to be like the Herschel Walker trade, where you're just set your team. I mean, we covered it on last night's show. Do we still have this? This is from maybe we don't have it. Yesterday we had a tweet from Move the Sticks, Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And he basically said, like, this draft has a chance to set up the Cardinals, if you weren't on last night's show, for the next 5 to 7 years. Now, Bo and I read that differently. I read that like, hey, if you can double down on this, another trade down and get more future ones, like this has a chance to set you up. And like, in all actuality, he's right regardless. But like, again, you're taking a swing here, a big swing. There it is. This draft will determine the next 5 to 7 years for the Arizona Cardinals. They have an opportunity to set themselves up for a really nice run. Now, Marvin could be a part of that, or in my opinion, more than likely, he is saying, can you flip pick number 4 for 3 additional first rounders on top of the extra first that you already have?
Do you think if they just took Will Anderson Jr., that Daniel Jeremiah would be saying that about the Cardinals? No.
Because they got a franchise left tackle plus picks, extra picks that turned into Michael Wilson. They have a third this year, and they have a first. 27 could be Jackson
and
Powers
the deal
Johnson.
That isn't as talked about as the trade down that the Titans used to get Will Levis. They traded down from 33 to 41. They got Tennessee's third this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just,
he loves to trade down guys. Like, let's
does.
just, and the roster isn't good enough not to do that. Marvin Harrison Jr. notwithstanding. Anthony Garcia, $4.99. JV will hold that L when we draft MHJ by shaving that beautiful head of hair. Absolutely not. This is all, bro. I'm 5'6.5". This is all I have. I got a full head of hair, and legitimate. If you can help me grow maybe like 2 to 3 inches to get to like average height, I will do that. But I got to wake up in the morning and look myself in the mirror, and I can't do that without a full head of hair.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that keeps me going.
I mean, we were throwing around a couple different ideas. This was before the Vikings made the deal for an extra first.
Yeah,
and you can argue about who contacted who and that, but regardless, it changed the landscape of teams that could come up and could really compete for the 4th overall pick. But we were talking about doing mustaches for Marv. Like, we were going to shave mustaches and rock them until the pick was made.
We talked about that. I don't have anything.
Now we're just going to look foolish. If we were to support, drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. By shaving mustaches for Marv, we just look foolish.
Last time I had a mustache, Bo, you walked in the door and the first thing you said to me within seconds was, "What the hell is on your face?"
I did not say
that. Is 100%. I would never. You were Johnny, making fun of me all day.
I'm a nice guy. I would never.
That sounds exactly like something Bo would say.
Easy. I don't believe for 1 second you were going to mustache. Not for 1 second.
First off, I have a mustache. It's just hidden behind this beard.
Yeah, but you're not shaving the rest of that beard. You're not taking those chops off.
Only Shane Diefenbach looks good with a stash. Let's be real. Easy No Steroids, $2 super chat. Did y'all hear what CJ Stroud said? So we talked about this before we jumped on Easy No Steroids. He was basically asked like who the number 1 receiver was coming out or something. And Stroud basically said like, don't be dumb. Let's not be dumb. Marvin Harrison Jr. Don't pass on him. And you see that stuff. And it's the kind of stuff that gets you fired up and at the same time is preparing to disappoint people. Because like, not only is Marv elite, the respect he has from other players, the respect he had, like we talked to Michael Wilson at the Super Bowl week. And like, we asked him point blank, like, what would it be like to play with him? And he'd be like, I would just learn so much. I'd want to compete with him. Like, Michael Wilson caught 2 touchdowns against the Niners, had a really productive rookie season. And he's talking about a guy who played college football last year as something he would look up to and want to pick his brain. And you heard everything that Paris Johnson Jr. had to say. And CJ Stroud, who's flipping top 5 to 7 quarterback in the NFL right now. Cardinals don't have enough cachet and elite dogs on their team. And it's easy. You just pick that player and you have that. And other players gravitate to him. So I don't like seeing comments like that, Easy No Steroids, because it gets me all the more disappointed if they opt to do something different.
I mean, CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr., like, they almost got it done, right, against a good Georgia team, didn't they?
They would have if Georgia hadn't cheap shot at him.
Yeah. Killer Rex, $4.99 super chat. Would Justin Jefferson really be psyched to have McCarthy as his QB over Penix Jr. or Nix? I think so. I mean, I think, he understands that as far as their decision makers and the talent evaluators, like I bet he could help at least Penix's case as far as, the deep ball that he can throw. And that
I think NFL people know Bo Nix has severe limitations.
Yeah.
With his arm strength. I mean, Bo, you were at Bo looking at Bo at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And he had trouble throwing the football. Like his arm strength isn't great.
when people ask me my name, I said something different. I was like, my name is Bobby Brock. Nice to meet you. I don't want to be associated with Bose right now. Illadre 199 super chat. Best podcast. Hit that like. Thank you, Illadre. Appreciate that. Yeah, hit that like button. Let's get this. What'd you set the goal at?
I mean, I'm asking for 5. If we can have
Yeah.
6, I'll take 6. Anything over 5 really helps your bros out as we here make a streamline for our Gila River Resorts and Casinos draft party. Let's get to some more super chats, but before we do that, I do want to tell everybody, it's a very hectic time of year, and when that happens and we're emotional, I just need smart people around me helping me make we're trying to make cut and dry decisions depicting facts. That's what Desert Financial Credit Union does for me, Bo, on a daily basis. They are the elite credit union here in the Valley, the official credit union of the Venerable household, PHNX Sports, and our sweet baby Arizona Cardinals. Now, for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicating to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Check them out. They've got checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with the exclusive debit card branded with, get this, the Red Sea Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. I've got it. It's the talk of the town anytime I make a purchase. Get yours right now. Go to desertfinancial.com/CardinalsBo to get started. It takes a matter of minutes. Open up that free checking account online. Debit card will be in the mail a couple of days after the fact. Desert Financial helps save you money now.
Yeah, and you're going to flash it at great places like our friends over at Circle K. And here's something that's free that you can save money by doing. That's joining the Inner Circle. Just download the app for free wherever you find your apps on your smartphone and get into America's Thirst Stop right now. You can immediately start to save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then 3 cents per gallon every day after that. You can actually increase that, different opportunities on the app, but you got to sign up and join in order to figure that out. And every 6th, you get a free selection of Circle K products right now. You got pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks, those Polar Pops. They're unbelievable. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms, conditions apply. Participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Let's get back to some of these super chats. So much good stuff going on right now. Charlie, our friend out in LA with the Chargers. Charlie Sinclair, $1.99. I guess we'll take the 3 1s. Well, if the Cardinals go Marvin, the 3 1s are going to be had. But again, I don't think the Cardinals are passing on 3 1s. So one team is going to get 3 1s. The other team, I think, is going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Even though there's reports now that Harbaugh wants a tackle and whatever, I do believe, unless somebody came up for Marv, I think the 4th pick and the 5th pick will either be a trade down or Marv and a trade down.
Let's get to this real quick, just because it's 1999. Our guy David Lee Sears hitting us up, having so much fun watching the show. Hold the line for blow. Thank you, David Lee Sears, and your 1990 super chat. All your support of the show. It is not going unnoticed. We're thankful for you and grateful for you for getting a couple other people to the draft party that wanted to go. Big thank you to you. And now let's get to these other ones, because Carpfish and both Merv and Carp. Do we see Buda Baker's tweet? And Merv and Buda and Paris having a wide receiver 1 debate on Twitter right now. Emoji. I
think we're trying to get I sent it. Damon, did you get that request?
He's working on it right now.
He's working on it. So we're gonna put a pause on that. So Buda Baker's tweeting about not Marvin Harrison Jr., but somebody else. But before we get to that, Bo, you were at the Cardinal facility today and had a chance. I mean, we buried the lead. We've been on this show for over an hour, and the Cardinals did return to the facility today. Jonathan Gannon, Trey McBride, and Kazir White took to the microphones today. Anything notable from today's intro to offseason workouts?
Everybody's excited, vibing on this team going into year 2. And it was a full house. And I say what you want, Kyler Murray. I know that now with the new contract, he's got some workout escalators in his deal, but at the same time, you got Buda Baker, who we're going to talk about shortly, and Paris Johnson Jr., Trey McBride, as you mentioned, Kazir White, some new guys between, Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones, who are best buds on the defensive line, who are big time ads in free agency as they try to kind of reconfigure that room. But, it seemed like it was a very productive day. and everybody, it was not dreading having to show up and be in attendance. Everybody was excited about the next chapter of this team.
Yeah, I'm so fired up to see Kyler Murray own this offseason with his teammates, because last year he was, unavailable. And I think that's the biggest piece, that, like the national media and people that doubt this team. When you have a top 10 quarterback coming back off of injury, and he showed what he did at the end of the year with no training camp, no on-field workout, and now he can say, yeah, I can work with Trey McBride whenever I want, Michael Wilson whenever I want. I can work under center, and I can work with Clayton Tune and Desmond Ridder. Like, they are going to be at such an advantage. You remember year 1 to year 2 under Kingsbury, the jump he made and the start to the season he had. And then you think about the next year in year 3, the jump he had to start the season. Like, Kyler Murray historically is a fast starter. And so, like, I think, again, it's only going to make him better to have the entire offseason, integrate himself with this team. And then you supplement. Maybe they add a guard, maybe they add a number 1 wide receiver. But that, to me, like, Trey McBride year 2 or year 3, pop year, Pro Bowl, accolades, all that good stuff. But everything takes a backseat to what Kyler Murray can bring to this team in the offseason.
Yeah, and JG's quote on it, it's up on our Twitter right now. Basically, really good questions that he asked in the quarterback room today, and keeping his play caller and Drew Petzing on his toes, and he better be sharp in his own right. And you like to hear that. And Trey McBride and Jonathan Gannon, I asked both of them as far as is there we talked to Trey about this back at the Super Bowl. Are they going to get together this offseason off campus on their own time? And JG kind of gave me a wry smile. Like, it does seem like that's happening. And if it hasn't happened already, for Kyler Murray to work with his playmakers. And then, the defensive line, talking about it between Nichols and Jones, who, JG said were very impressive in their position group meeting.
Nice.
And then the addition and they were kind of leading the way. And when you talk about, you look at the production, you look at the PFF grade, whatever, and you can say you can be underwhelmed by it. And then you look at what they signed for. Like, I think that these guys, especially with their availability the last couple of years, both Ironmen in their own right, but at the same time, it seems like they bring a lot of veteran leadership to a very young team. And then he also talked about Khyiris Tonga. There's the big, huge nose tackle that they brought in from Minnesota. And he said, JG said he tried to crack a couple jokes, and Tonga was all business. He's all business. And he slowly kind of backed his way out of the room and just left him to their meeting. But it seems like this defensive line, they raised the talent level by a lot.
Yeah, it's the perfect group to integrate, like a Darius Robinson or a Jerzon Johnny Newton or Chris Edwards, like somebody like that, to come in and just be not asked to be the guy right away. Like, poor Dante Stills last year, he exceeded expectations, was fantastic, but now he gets to join a rotation that's likely going to elevate his play. Yeah. I mean, if you add Jerzon Newton or Byron Murphy II to this group now, suddenly this unit looks pretty good. Like, you go from probably the worst defensive line, not probably, they were the worst defensive line last year in the NFL. Now they've raised the floor to, can they be solid? And then you add a couple draft picks, they have a chance to pan out long-term. I mean, it's ideal team building. So I'm fired up about that group. That's a great little nugget too about, the defensive tackles just really taking on that leadership role, because they didn't have that last year. And especially like when you lost because you're white, when you did, I think it was against Houston, like the front seven really, I mean, they were starving for veterans to lean on December and January. And if this team expects to be in postseason contention, those guys are going to help you get through the dog days of the year.
Yeah, and Trey McBride just is hungry. Everybody wanted to talk about how good of a year he had, with 800 yards. And, he emerged and he said, man, when I look back at the tape, I see a lot left on the table. And he's excited to get back at it and continue to just kind of parlay a coming out party into being, solidifying himself as one of the best tight ends in the league, and in a very a stout group.
Yeah, and again, he only started 12 games last year. That's the astonishing part. Here's something astonishing. Buda Baker took to Twitter unprompted today, and here it is. Carp Fish asking, did we see Buda's tweet? Merv, our guy, Buda in Paris, having a wide receiver debate on Twitter. I couldn't find the Paris bite, but this is from Buda Baker. Washington, Rome Odunze equals wide receiver number 1, go Dogs, that is all. Now, again, where did Buda Baker go to college? He went to Washington. But I mean, like the Arizona Cardinals had an exceptional pre-draft top 30 visit with Rome Odunze. And while he's not Marvin Harrison Jr., the caliber of prospect, he is a firm top 10 receiver. Do you buy Rome Odunze to the Arizona Cardinals, Bo Brock?
I mean, I buy Buddha's trying to run his hype train, absolutely, but not over Marv. I mean, I appreciate the support. I appreciate him wearing his school colors and supporting his alma mater and somebody went to his alma mater. But so Paris quote tweeted it, and he said, the Rome equals wide receiver number 1, go Dogs. That is all. Paris Johnson Jr. quote tweeted, he said, "That's funny way to spell Marvin's name. LOL, go Bucks." Just having some fun.
Get one of those. Get somebody. Get one of the two, please.
Paris knows ball.
He does.
I believe Buddha is also a knower of ball.
Doesn't
Paris
seem like it.
was at the Ohio State spring game.
What
What did he say?
He just said doesn't seem like Buddha knows ball. I don't know, man. I think he knows it. I know a few things.
Midwest.
Probably forgot a few more things than we ever knew.
Buddha's damaged goods. Trade him.
You should see his mentions. His mentions are a dumpster fire.
Well, we know what the emotional state of this fan base is right now. And unless your initials are MHJ, again, Cardinal fans, you couldn't offer Cardinal fans enough draft. And here's what I will say. This franchise has not been coddled with quality general managers like in Green Bay, like in Pittsburgh, that can find talent in the draft every year. So I understand the angst that fans have. You can take your picks and shove them up your ass if it's a sure thing, like Marvin Harrison Jr. If you're gifted the best player in the last 2 drafts, there's not enough draft picks that you could give Cardinal fans because they've seen it before. They've seen the Robert Kimdichis and the Isaiah Simmons and the Josh Rosens and the Michael Floyds and the Jonathan Coopers, bust among bust among bust. Andy Isabella in the second round. I mean, Kevin Minter, Troy Nicholas. The list goes on and on. Every once in a while, you get a K1. Every once in a while, you get a Paris Johnson. So, like, I am 100% sympathetic to Cardinal fans because Marvin is bust proof. Injuries notwithstanding, if Marvin Harrison Jr. plays in the NFL, he's going to be productive. So, like, I'm not going to tell people they're wrong for feeling that way.
People, they appreciate Paris Johnson Jr. holding the line. They really do. And you have to respect Budda Baker going to bat for his guy. And it does feel like if there's it's an overwhelming Marvin Harrison Jr. Needs to be a Cardinal group. And then if it's not him, I think Rome is firmly ahead of Malik Neighbors as far as
this team
prospects go. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we both feel confident. They would take Rome Odunze over Malik Neighbors. And they worked out Malik. They had a meeting with Malik.
Mm-hmm.
But Rome is, I don't know, probably fits what they want a little bit more. There was that report, I think, from Tony Pauline that Malik, there's some concerns about how he would do in certain cities. And I don't buy a lot of that. I think Malik's going to be a good player. But Rome kind of fits their low-key personality, football IQ, mantra, and then he has the physical talent and the attributes to just come in and do his job. Now, Marvin does too, but Marvin is also going to be the first receiver taken. Like, if you can get Rome, I mean, there's no assurance that Rome's going to be there at pick 8. Like, you're going to roll the dice.
Right.
Like, if we're sitting here thinking, and I'm naive of this, that you trade down to 11 and you're going to come up with the Atlanta Falcons at pick 8, Bo, like that Rome's going to be there. I mean, there's a chance he's not. There's a chance the Giants could take Rome over Malik Neighbors. Then what do? You take Malik, you take Joe Alt. Joe Alt goes 7th overall. They've got Dallas Turner coming in to meet with them the next 2 days. Is that the play? Like there's just a lot of unknowns, man. The minute you trade down, as much as you want to count your chips with those draft picks, nothing is assured anymore.
Yeah. Daniel saying PFF Trevor Sycama, friend of the program, said MHJ is the best prospect he's ever graded. Yeah. He's told us that. We've got Big Bird 92 saying Rome is a tank. He's the best contested catcher in the class. Team first guy.
Great in the red zone too.
Yeah. Some interesting top 30 visits. Johnny, you probably don't want to hear this. Max Melton visited the team over the weekend. Right,
that's fine. Listen, that's fine.
Is it fine? Yeah, I hope a nice toolsy cornerback is fine for you.
Rutgers football here in the desert. Rutgers. You watched that game against Rutgers and Iowa? No, I didn't.
Also, according to Tom Pelissaro, are hosting Texas Tech safety Dadrion Taylor Demerson, who's kind of a versatile DB. Well, he's a late day 2 guy. Can you not make that face?
If we're taking safeties anywhere near day 1 or day 2, I'm going to throw up. Like we have multiple good safeties. Can we just not?
They've got 2 really good safeties, right? And one's under contract for 1 more year. And he's not holding a line.
Gannon can craft safeties out of sticks and spit. He got Reed Blankenship to a Super Bowl.
Did you notice that?
Let's not.
Right.
What?
Just that, like the second that Buddha didn't hold the line, I was like, hey, we need a contingency plan, by the way.
If they take a receiver in the 3rd round, I'm going to throw up live on our draft show. I don't want to do that.
If it's the first one or if it's, you said a receiver?
Or a safety, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Cameron
gross.
Kitchen.
Come on, Ossenfort, gross. Pick 104 is the earliest you're allowed to do that, Austin.
Okay. I'm in for that.
Okay.
So what I've got right here is 23 of their 30 top 3 visits. Okay. We've almost got every single one of them. Plus, we're trying to figure out, if Jordan Morgan, Jacob Cowing, and Taylor Upshaw, where they figure in there. Those guys are locals. Aaron Wilson said that Morgan had met with the team. Kyle Odegaard said that earlier is an official top 30. That regardless, there's interest between the Cardinals and Jordan Morgan and Jacob Cowing and Taylor Upshaw. They've done their homework on those 3 Wildcats. So you add those 3 to the mix of the 23 prospects, and it's a pretty impressive lift. Like now, defensive back, Johnny, and I know we added an addition of a safety, but for the most part, it's outside corner. It's rivaling what they've scouted and who they've done their homework on as far as the wide receiver position. So we've got 7 wideouts, and we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 DBs. So they're very likely going to take multiple, probably at both positions. Don't you think?
Yeah, especially with how they've attacked defensive tackle. Like I do hope they don't pass on all the top defensive linemen, not edge rushers, notwithstanding, but like you just outlined 3 defensive tackles that they signed.
And they had Mason Smith from LSU and for a top 30.
He's a day 3 interior lineman.
Yeah.
He's a good player. I still think you want to dip your toe into this defensive line group. But yeah, I mean, who's playing corner right now? Sean Murphy-Bunting, Tetrell Clark, and Garrett Williams. It's not enough. I still think they could sign a veteran QB.
I think that's Starling Tom. And I know that's it's just
for sure. I'm not being disrespectful.
As you say in Keytrell, it's the same. Like it's a guy from last year's class that still I think has some obviously room to grow.
Yeah. So Charles saying I would have turned my nose up on Jerry Rice and his Mississippi Valley State career. 100% I would have, Charles. Like you're saying that to throw shade. I definitely would have been like, what are these highlight films? Is this on like, is this on, I don't even know. Is this on at
least you're honest.
Yeah. I definitely would have, Charles. Yeah. They're going to take a corner high. They're probably going to take a mid-round corner every year. There's no corner that warrants one of their first picks, maybe 27, maybe 35, maybe. But I still think, and I like Zaven Collins a lot. You got to get a real pass rusher in there in that group. You had 1 sack in 7 weeks. Like I don't care how bad the defensive backs were. You had 1 sack from this group. And Dennis Gardeck's walking back into the facility today, and everybody's excited with these guys that are coming back. It's like, hey guys, you and Zaven and B.J. Ojulari were healthy, and you got 1 sack, and it was a gimme sack against Justin Fields where he ran out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. Like, when's the last time a Cardinal pass rusher smoked somebody off the edge? And you're just like, oh damn, Chandler Jones style. Get a pass rusher. Don't take her like you're joking around with Max Melton. It's tongue in cheek. Get somebody that can beat a tackle 1-on-1. We got nobody right now that can do that on consistent.
Yeah, but who's going to do that? We're Max Melton territory in this draft.
Where are you taking Max Melton at? Where are you taking Max Melton?
It's a pretty light edge class outside of the top 3. between Turner, Verse, and Latu.
And Chop.
And then this kid is a Western Michigan that's emerged in Chop. And that's it. Then you're looking at a guy who played at Kansas. You're looking at the kid Braylon Trice from Washington.
He's a good player.
Yeah, but he's probably a late day 2 guy.
I mean, Chop at 27 is pretty nice if he falls to 20. You think? I mean, the more I see from Chop, and I know his numbers weren't great, and the people that are really breaking out his footage and putting it out there, Chop Robinson is going to be productive in the NFL. I don't know if he's ever going to be elite, but like Chop Robinson screams to me like 8 to 12 sacks every year. And what Gannon could do with a Chop Robinson. Penn State edge rushers are doing pretty well in the NFL. Latu, he's getting a lot of top 30 visits.
Sometimes you just say stuff. What does that mean? Like Penn State edge rusher. Name me one that's like top 10.
This isn't going to age well for Bo.
I mean, there's Micah Parsons.
Okay,
but other than Micah Parsons, I would. But like
he doesn't play strictly off the edge.
I feel like
he's an edge rusher. He's a pass rusher. He plays off the edge. He's a pass rusher. That was the well I was going.
He played off-ball linebacker at Penn State.
I know, but he worked out as an edge rusher.
They mishandle him.
I agree with you, Johnny, that he's an edge rusher, but I also would like to know the second name from Penn State that makes them a factory off the edge. Give me 2.
Don't be a smartass. Everybody in the chat knew where I was going.
He immediately attacks. Don't be a smartass.
You are.
Yeah, that's the only other guy I can think, and he hasn't done anything. Yeah.
I'm talking about this era. This era of Penn State football.
It's like Jalen Phillips from at UCLA.
This era of Penn State football, they're 1 for 1. Can they go 2 for 2? I think so. Coming at me. Why are you ganging up on me? The last pass rusher from Penn State, and he's a first-round caliber prospect this year. So I like the track record, and it's the same regime. That makes me feel good. Everybody talks about like the hierarchy of like Alabama pass rushers and Ohio State receivers. Like they're putting together. They're okay. They hit on one. They got another guy coming out. That would make me feel better about it than some guy from Western Michigan. Being attacked here on my own show. How dare you both? How dare you both?
There he is with my own show stuff. He gets back to the corner. He starts just
all right, Mr.
And then he calls it his own show.
All right, Mr.
We're just
drafting. All right, I didn't know I was standing next to Dane Brugler on the show
to help. Boost Johnny up while he's got these outrageous takes.
I'd like to make a bet with Johnny.
Yeah,
Chop Robinson versus Latu sacks. Rookie year.
I think.
How about playing years in the NFL?
That is
playing years in the NFL. I'm not drafting you, Damon, for your rookie year. Who's going to be playing in the NFL in 8 to 10
Dude,
years?
You're just saying how Latu is like going to be this bust and Chop.
I didn't say that. I have concerns about his longevity because he was already forced to medically retire. That's a fact. He already was partially out of football. So if you take Latu and we're sitting here, hopefully doing this podcast in 5 years, and he's out of the league, you got nobody to blame but yourself. That stuff matters. If you're telling me that stuff doesn't matter,
it does matter. It's part of the equation. It's part.
You tell me who's the ideal pass rushing candidate.
Here's the thing: you take a chance on a guy who was immensely productive and has shown up and had a great Senior Bowl and put himself firmly.
He's a first-round pass rusher. Absolutely,
yeah. And then there's Chop, who he's like, you look at his production, you're like, okay, I see the physical traits, and you're just like, where was the production? What happened? You want to throw and say, hey, I look at and I trusted this institution, Penn State, but where was the production there?
That's a fair question. I listen. I think it's apples to oranges. I think they're both first-round caliber prospects.
I agree with Ozzy. Latu at 27 would be unbelievable.
I don't think he'll be. I think he'll be.
Last 2 seasons for Latu, 13 and 12 games played. Is that good?
No, don't tear.
Look up his Arizona game. Look up his Arizona State game.
Johnny's case.
What did he do against Arizona State when they were running the wing tee offense? I think he had I think his PFF grade was like a 50.
Defense, Johnny. They lost that game because their offense was pathetic.
I think Latu got pancaked like 6 times.
What was his TFL numbers? What was his sack?
21 and a half tackles for loss this year. Is that good? 12 games?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
13 sacks.
But he said he wants to be a fireman.
Did he? Oh yeah, he did.
There's
Danny Boyle.
Somebody asked.
So did Danny Boyle, and then he quit football. Couldn't cut it for the Eagles, so they got rid of him. Listen, we all have these guys every year that like we just like or dislike, and I have watched. Listen, I'm 36 years old. Been following this team for a long time. I'm very cynical. I want safe prospects, and when something like that comes up, and you have first round pick, like it's not my favorite thing in the world to use a first round pick on a guy that was already forced to medically retire. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. Well, he's a phenomenal prospect since he's been healthy and ready to go at UCLA. And I wish him the best, and I hope that continues in the NFL. But like Paris Johnson Jr. and check the tape was the safest prospect they could have taken last year outside of Will Anderson Jr. And that's why I was pro that pick. I didn't want Tyree Wilson. So I think I think Chop Robinson playing in the Big Ten.
How many tackles for loss last year?
For who? Chop Robinson?
Yeah.
I don't have
7.5.
I have that in front of me.
How would you say?
7.5 for Chop Robinson, 21.5 for Latu.
So Chop Robinson in 3 college seasons had 20 TFLs. How many did Latu have last year?
21.5.
21 in one season. Okay.
Like I'm not going to sit here. It's about why is JJ McCarthy projected to be the 4th overall pick over Bo Nix, who threw for 1 billion yards and 1,000 touchdowns? It's how he projects to the next level. And I think Chop Robinson projects. I didn't say he was going to be like the best pass rusher in the NFL. I said at 27, I think he's somebody who can get you 8 to 10 sacks every year. You guys are turning this against me. How dare you?
On his own show.
Man,
I can't believe this has just become very dark.
I just like to reunite with Damon for a little bit. We've been at odds for a while.
Feels like
I have no problem being on an island on this show. That's not a problem for me. Hashtag blame Johnny. Guys, like I can like Chop Robinson while also admitting that Latu's statistics are great, and I think he's going to be a top 20 pick.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stare you down now. I have a big time problem with you now. Right. This is how this show is going to go for the next 10 days. We won't make it to Gila River at this rate. We will not.
Is that you're threatening of turning this car around right now?
I will pull this car over and we will end our draft coverage 10 days early. It's not in 10 days, but it's in a little under a month's time. How about our friends with PHNX keeping it real, Bo? So fired up. 2nd annual Keeping It Real golf tournament.
Keeping it 100.
Yeah, keep it 100. Fired up. This is some highlights from last year. Bo, you were there last year.
I was there for about 10 holes, and then the Arizona Cardinals outright released DeAndre Hopkins, and I had to come talk to our good friends here at PHNX Sports and the PHNX Cardinals faithful.
Big Drive Energy podcast, one of the best golfing podcasts you can get in all seriousness. And the vibes were immaculate last year, and the outing was one of the best ones we've done, hoping to continue to do it. The May 10th scramble, Dobson Ranch Golf Club, which if you have not been to Dobson Ranch in all seriousness, one of the best golf clubs here in the Valley. Super fun. We bring our kids all the time, have an opportunity to do some putt-putt there. A lot of good stuff. They've got nice, easy tees to be able to tee off on. They've got an immaculate driving range.
Well, the driving range is unbelievable. It's actually unmatched what they've done. They've got some great games you can play at the range. You can go good food, drinks. They got TVs all over the place. There's some things that try to do similar stuff, but it's unmatched as far as what's going on at Dobson Ranch. And we're pumped for another Keeping It 100. 100. Is that how we say it?
Keeping it real 100.
I don't like that at all.
I've got to say I've got to read the promotion.
You just hello fellow kids did right now.
Do you want me to just go like keep it 100? Is that easier for you? Okay, I'll do that.
No, do the other version.
I'll probably get yelled at by our bosses and stuff like that. That's fine. I'll do that just because Damon feels uncomfortable. Keep it 100. Golf tournament. May
How about
10th.
all that free stuff though?
I know it's unreal.
There was like games like where you could win the prizes. There's raffles where you were just entered to win it just by being there. Free merch just by being there. Breakfast, lunch. I mean, it practically pays for itself.
We need to get a foursome. We need to get a foursome going.
Did you think I'm going to sit in a golf cart with either of you after today?
I didn't even consider you being a part of the foursome. I was thinking more like Britton Golden, Damon. And then maybe maybe raffle off a 4th spot. I don't know. I think that'd be legit.
This show is now my least favorite part of the day. Like, we were supposed to have this MHA coordination, and now I'm just in the position I can't even look at either of you. I can't look at the chat. Hashtag blame Johnny's going on in the chat right now. The only thing that keep me going is if we get 500 likes on this video. That's the only thing that'll keep me going. Rudy's saying, I'll sit with you, Johnny. It's okay. Thank you, Rudy.
Yeah.
We, in all seriousness, have a banner week of coverage. It continues. Brian Baldinger's back on the podcast tomorrow. And then we also have the debut of Peter Schrager's mock draft, which like Peter Schrager basically came out and was like, yeah, this is my mock. I've been agonizing over it.
Yeah.
I'm not guessing. This is like, he basically left his cards on the table. Like, I'm putting stuff out there tomorrow. Prepare yourselves.
So it's this Tuesday, not next Tuesday?
I thought he said it was tomorrow.
Okay.
Let me check. Check real quick.
And then we have, as you mentioned, Benjamin Albright. We're excited to welcome him back. The PHNX Cardinals. You're thinking later this week, right? And then I was talking we've got a guest from the NFL Network that might join us in studio here very shortly before the draft.
Really fired up. Benjamin Albright, hopefully give us insight what the Broncos are trying to do. But yeah, Schrager confirmed it on his his Twitter. Just submitted my first of 2 mock drafts. He's gonna do one this week, one next week. If you know, I don't throw darts at a wall. Agonizing exercise. I believe Peter King used the word miserable. It's all true, and I love it. Can't wait to share it tomorrow. I think he's sharing it maybe on the NFL Network, Good Morning Football, but mock draft Peter Schrager, it will be revealed tomorrow, and maybe give us some insight as to what the Arizona Cardinals plan to do. I mean, what would it mean to you if Peter Schrager put Cardinals picking 4th overall, took Marvin tomorrow? Would you make you feel better about the situation?
It would mean everything. No, it would be another serious step in the right direction for the hold the line movement. It would be massive. And it would make me feel more comfortable that the organization is got an asking price that they're dead set on, and that the around the league circles doesn't feel like it's going to be met, and they're going to go the right direction and take the generational type prospect.
Yeah, it's if he has them trading down, how will you feel?
It would be tougher, because I also don't think he'd probably have them trading back up, because we've seen now 2 mock drafts. One, I think there were a couple reputable guys that did that. Benjamin was one of them, and there was another one. Was it? It wasn't Mel Kiper, was it? That or DJ had him? It's one of them had him come back up to 5.
Might have been Mel Kiper.
Yeah, and I just don't know if that's realistic.
It's a lot to put in a mock draft. Jalen Blair saying Schrager got the trade down and position right last year, just didn't get the trade back up for Paris. Well, I feel pretty confident.
He was 4 for 4 before that, and he had the Rosen trade down. He had Zaven Collins at 16. He had a lot of insight to the previous regime. So
I will say, if he predicts that they trade down, I still think there's a good chance they try to trade back up. I don't think they want to pick at 11. I think it's just a precursor. But to what you and I have been saying for a while, they trade down at 11 to 11. Like you're passing on Marvin at that point. Like it's not realistic to come back up.
Look at Mikey Desert Cardinals got his own hashtag, 3 first-round picks. 3 FRP.
Mikey made a point to correct me. He's like the lone Cardinal fan I've seen that outside of Deuce and some other people, Didi, he wants the 3 firsts. Mikey, God bless you, man. You are in the minority there. Don't take that opinion out to the Twitter streets, or it will be a bloodbath.
You'll get people like Michael who says 11 is disgusting.
I like the one where somebody says it's poison. It's poisoning me. We have the 11th pick in the draft, and I hate it. What a great show today. Outside of that last segment where you guys ganged up on me over my love affair with Chop Robinson. If you guys can stand it and stand us, like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube, become a diehard, go PHNX.com. The Greg Dortch podcast t-shirt is still flying off the shelves. Get it while you can. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. You are a diehard. I mean, we're doing shows round the clock, basically every day minus probably Saturdays up until the draft. And our draft coverage is unmatched, live from Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. We are giving out our final 3 tickets later this week. Congratulations. You were one of the 6 that got a free ticket. Our event is sold out. But again, coverage doesn't end here on PHNX Sports. And like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast, Bo.
Yep, absolutely. Everyone have a great rest of your Monday night. Barring any breaking news, we'll be back with you tomorrow at 4:30. No Cardinals workouts tomorrow, at least that we can cover. Check out all the video and the coverage from today's press conferences with JG, Trey McBride, and Kazir White on our Twitter at PHNX_Cardinals. For award-winning producer Damon Dog, Johnny Venerable, it's his show, and me, Bo Brack. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.